before it's too late.
Much of Denmark's landscape was shaped in the last ice age by huge glaciers as they moved across the terrain. Often the land was flattened under the colossal weight. In other places, the earth was pushed up in front of the glacier, causing hilly undulations, like here at Findrup training area. As the glaciers began to melt, huge chunks of ice were left stranded on this new land. Today, stunning crystal clear lakes and ponds are all that remain. In one of these ponds grows an amazing natural phenomenon that has become one of the world's most endangered microcosms, a living Heath Bog, or quaking bog.
This platform here is made of peat moss. It's a thick layer of peat moss, and I can show you if I take up a piece of peat moss here, I grab a good lump here. You see, this is like a big sponge, and if I press it, you can see all the water it contains. So this is very, very spongy, and so this whole mat here is actually a big floating sponge we're walking on peat moss, and gradually this will be completely overgrown. There's still a few patches of open water, but eventually it will be one big thick mat, and gradually it will turn into a bog with vegetation on it, and the water, there's no open water left anymore. This is definitely a threatened biotope in Denmark. It's included in the EU Habitat Directive that this sort of habitat should be protected all over Europe because there's so little left of it. It's been exploited for peat digging during times, but now we protect what's left of them. So this is a unique little site with unique plants and insects. You have to be careful when you walk out here, but on top of the moss layer here, the carpet, there's growing quite a number of rare plants, like cranberries all around us, the little pink with the little pink flower and the large berry.
In this environment, with no contact with the soil, plants have had to develop some novel ways to obtain nutrients. The sundew is one of these.
The insect-eating plant growing on this peat moss here. In Danish we call it solduk, which means sundew. Due to the little glands it has on its leaves, where it excretes some sticky liquid that the insects get stuck in that. And you can actually see on these leaves here that several places there are insects sitting. They're being caught by this fluid, sticky fluid on top of the leaves. That's the way it catches the insects. Then it has some enzymes in the sticky liquid that break down the insects, and it gets into the plant as a nutrient. So it's a way for this plant to survive in this very special habitat here.
About 25 more quaking bogs like these are protected within the military training areas.
Gradually, all the water is overgrown by peat moss. That's a natural process, and it will turn into a bog with vegetation. Eventually, the willow thickets will come in, birch trees, and it will dry out. It's a natural evolution, and new places like this will appear if man wouldn't intervene or hadn't intervened. But by now these places are not allowed just to appear by themselves anymore because of the way you use the open landscape agriculture, and so we have to conserve the few places that are still left of them.